Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dave Montgomery from Later Life Training. Today is Monday, the 26th of October, 2020. This is our 4 p.m. movement snack, our third snack of the day, our third opportunity to add additional movement minutes into our day. A bit of illusion there, look. Additional movement minutes into our day, over and above everything else we already do. We can do it in seated, or we can do it in standing, and that's the first choice we have to make. Are we going to do it in a seated position, or are we going to do it in a standing position? Whichever, we're going to be in an active position. So in our standing position, we have our heels in line with our knees and the knees in line with our hips. We're going to keep those knees soft, but we're not going to bend them, and likewise, we're not going to lock them out. We're going to lift and lengthen from our hips, bring the ribs a little bit away from the hips and the shoulders coming up, back, and pressing down. We've got our fixed external support available to us if we want. I've got my fireplace and I've got a sturdy wall behind me as well. If seated is our option, then first thing we're going to do is sit forward in the chair. So we lift our back off the back of the chair, instantly switching on into the trunk area. A lift and shift as we bring ourselves with a hip walk into the front third of the chair. Heels in line with knees, knees in line with hips. Sit tall on your buttocks this time, yeah? And lift and lengthen from your hips again. Bringing those shoulders up, back, and pressing down. From there, let's start with our circulation booster. And this is our lift of the heel off the floor. Pressing the ball of the foot and the toes down into the floor as we do that heel lift, paddling through those feet. Now, the speed that you go at is the right speed. The thing about this circulation booster is that it's rhythmic. It's not a fast thing. It's not a race. It's a flowing movement and it's rhythmic. If we can, let's take it up a level further and bring it into a march where we lift the toes off the floor. They're the last part to come off and the first part to come back down. Now, in our seated position, a lot of activity going on here. So options for you. You may want to come back into this heel lift, or an option for tapping out with the toes, so a toe tap in front. In our standing position, we can see that movement a little bit clearer with the toes just leaving the floor slightly. Again, it's not a fast movement, it's not a big movement, it's a rhythmic flowing movement. Popping an arm in as well, and we're driving this arm back from our shoulder. So the elbow is driving it back, and can you see how we're really mobilizing through that shoulder? Now, in our standing position, if we feel steady and stable, we can put both arms in. If we're utilizing our support, then take a pause, change direction to the other side, so you're supported with the other side, and bring the other arm in. If you have support in front of you, then it may be as simple as a place of the hand on top before you take the other hand off. But if you're utilising that support, make sure you place the one hand down before the other one comes off to join in that march. Now, this is a switching our body on. And as Kelsey quite rightly said at lunchtime, the body may not have been switched off. We may not have been sat down. We may have been doing something. But this is just allowing us to focus and to take the body to the next level, to start warming the muscles, warming the joints, getting the blood pumping around the body. So it's a great thing to do if we have been sat down for a while, first thing in the morning, or at any point during the day, just have a little boost of that circulation. Let's take a pause there after a minute or a couple of minutes, and we should feel as though we want to take a couple of deep breaths. So have a couple of deep breaths. Get the oxygen back in. Now, all the time, think about this lifted and lengthened position in seated and standing. That's going to help us to open up our cavities as far as our organs, internal organs are concerned. And as we take the shoulders back and press them down, we open the rib cage, allowing us to expand the lungs further, get more oxygen in. Here's our sway movement. Now, our sway movement for today, I'm just going to focus onto the arms today, and then as we go forward, we'll add the legs in. So, base of support to start off with. We're just outside our hips, okay? So a bit of a bigger base of support to move, to start with, because as we add the legs in, we're going to start stepping forward and stepping backwards to shift that weight. Okay, the movement with our hands, one hand is going to come forward and one hand is going to come backwards. So we start to get a bit of rotation within our trunk. So the first part of the hand movement is here, pushing away and pulling back in, pushing away and pulling back in. Let me show you from the side. We've got this motion here, pushing away with one hand flat, fist clenched but not too tight. It's not fist clench, it's just a turning of those fingers, can you see? And we're driving back from our elbow, so we're working into our shoulder. We drive it forward again, and then we power out again. Yep, that's the first part of that movement. So we have a drive forward and a pull back. Drive forward and pull back. And can you see this bit of rotation starting to happen as far as the shoulders and chest is concerned? And then as we add to it, we'll start to put the movement into our trunk as well. Now, to allow us to move on from there, we need to add the second part in. Now, the move is exactly the same within our seated position. So this movement starts with 2 pull forwards and back, and on the second one, we hold. Yeah? From there, we're going to take that arm out to the side. The other hand is going to come up to our chest, face forward, and push. And then we're going to bring the other hand around and pull back in towards us. Yeah? So, from the side, we have this movement. I'll do it the other way around this time. Yeah? So, we have the push and the pull. The push and the pull and the hold. The hand goes around to the side. The other hand comes up and pushes away. We bring the first hand back in, and then we turn over and we pull back down with that first movement. Yeah? And then we can do it on the other side. So, first part, here and back in. Here and hold. Around to the side. This hand comes up, turns to face. We've got some movement within the wrist. Pushes away. We bring the first hand back in. Turn, so movement in the wrist again. Again, there's that crunch, but not a fist. And pull back in and feel the resistance against it as you pull back in. From there, we reset back down. We can then go on the other side, pushing away and pulling back. Pushing away and holding. Out to the side. Hand up and push. Bring the first hand back in. Rotate and pull back in and reset. Knees soft the whole time. In our seated position, exactly the same. We're still going to get this movement within our shoulder as we take the hand out to the side. And where you take the hand to is completely up to you. So if here is comfortable, and if you go any further it starts to feel uncomfortable, that is fine. That is where you stop. It's just about moving that hand out and then bringing it back in at a later point. So there's our hand movements. Let's go through it one more time. So from our base position, we bring one hand in, one hand up, we pull back and bring it in. Push away and hold. Take it out to the side in a controlled movement. Bring this up. Steady, flowing movements. Feeling the rotation within your wrist, within your shoulders. There's that rotation back into your wrists and pulling back in to reset. The other side, we come on up and we push and we pull back. We push and we pull back. Holding it there, we take this hand out to the side. This hand comes back up and turns. Pushes away. We bring the first hand back in. We've got that rotation through the wrist and the pull back in towards us. We then reset. Yeah? Now, you'll notice there's a slight bend in the knee there. So we've got a bit more of a bend than a soften. We're not bending it a huge amount, so it's not anything like a squat or coming in towards a sit to stand. We've just got some softness within there. And in our seated position, then we've got that softness where we're sitting down into the chair. So we're still sitting tall from our hips up, but we're allowing ourselves to sit a little bit lower down into the chair. So we've got a bit more contact with the chair. Let's try it one more time with the seated as well. So from here, we've got the lift, we've got the pull and the push, the pull and the push with the hold, taking it out to the side with that wrist and that motion, that position there. Here, we come up, we turn the wrist out, we push away, we bring the first hand back in. There's the rotation of the wrist and the arms again to bring it back in, resetting. Again, we lift and we push and pull. We push and pull and hold out to the side, making sure we've got enough room and pausing where you want to. Coming up, turning the wrist, powering away, back in, so we're feeling it through our shoulders, the rotation of the wrist and the hands to bring it back in and reset. Back into our starting position. So there's the hands of it. We're going to add on as we go through the week. So we're going to add the feet in, and then we're going to add some head movements within there as well, and some shifts of weight from side to side as we do those movements. Take a pause there, go and have a look at it again afterwards and see how you get on with it. Play to it how you want to. So the range is where you want it to be. If you can find you can only push so far forward, or this arm is only coming back so far, that is fine. Work to where is comfortable for you. Remember, your range of motion is the correct range of motion. Slow, controlled, flowing movements is what we're looking at. This 3D movement is things that we do in everyday life. We never work in one dimension, so it's a time for the brain to practice those movements. Okay, let's take a pause there and let's go into our stretches. So, I'm going to start with our calf in a standing position firstly. So the first option for you, if you're in standing, you take a step back. I've got my support to the side of me. My toes come down, my heel comes down, and my toes are pointing in the same direction. From there, I'm just going to bend the front knee and allow my whole body to lean in, keeping the heel down at the back. So I'm not bending, I'm not hinging from the hip. I'm just allowing, because of the knee bending, the whole body to come forward, feeling that stretch into our calf. We hold it for around 12 to 20 seconds. And then we change out of it by stepping back in and feeling it end. In our seated position, we take the foot out in front. We're sitting tall, the heel is down and the toes are up. Ease the heel away and bring the toes in towards your shin and feel that lengthening in the back of the leg. Now, the lengthening is what you should feel. Feel it, but no pain. It shouldn't hurt. And when you've done your 12 to 20 seconds, ease the foot out again and step back in, both in standing and seated, changing to the other side. That stepping back in, you should feel the stretch ending. So swapping to the other side, away you go. And if you're having a freestanding position, then stepping back and allowing yourself to bend in, have some support available so you can reach for it if you need to, or support yourself here onto this leg. But these stretches are giving that muscle a bit of lengthening. So we're trying to lengthen the muscle and we're trying to return it to its point where it was earlier on in the day before we started these movements. Stepping in to release it. Now, in our seated position, I'll show you the back of the thigh stretch firstly. So in our seated position, I take the foot out again, heel down, toes up once more, but this time we're going to relax the toes a bit more. First things first, we sit tall. Yeah, so if we stand ourselves slouching a little bit, lift ourselves tall. Place the hands onto the bent knee, and then from there, hinge from your hip to come forward. You want to feel the stretch in the back of the thigh. So if you feel it in your calf at all, drop that toes down a little bit more. So relax the foot a little bit more so that you've got the stretch into the back of the thigh. In standing, very similar. We step forward onto one foot. We've got that lift from the hips. And in we come with our support by the side of us. The spare hand can go onto your bent knee, or if you're doing it without support, you're here. Now, if you want to do without support and you feel a little bit challenged, take a bit of a wider stance to start off with. You'll still get that stretch into the back of your thigh. And with this one, if you feel it easing off, then take a deep breath in, and as you breathe out, try and take it a little bit further. Can you see that hip hinge there from the back? From the hip, sorry, not the back. So we're not bending at the waist. Straight back, we're just hinging from the hip to allow that muscle to lengthen. And that stand or that sit tall starts the lengthening process. So step back in, feel the stretch ending, set it up on the other side, and away you go. That stand tall or that sit tall firstly, this muscle goes from our bottom down to our knee. So when we sit or stand tall, we start to lengthen it here to start off with. So therefore, when we hinge, we've already got some lengthening within that muscle. We don't have to hinge too far forward. By not hinging too far forward, we're not challenging our balance as much as if we have to really come forward. Also, we want to keep the head above heart height. Now, I know the head is above your heart, but when you start to do this, you start to come down lower, we start to take the head down below the level of the heart, and we don't really want to do that. After you've done your 12 to 20 seconds, and if you've done that advancement of it, so if you've taken it a little bit further as it starts to ease off, bring the foot in, feel the stretch ending. Okay, so from there, let's move into our chest, okay? So with our chest stretch, in standing firstly, hands into the small of the back. Now they can either go this way or this way, choice is yours, whichever you find more comfortable. And you're going to draw the shoulder blades back and the shoulder blades together. So if you can see at the front, look, can you see the top of the t-shirt straightens out, stretches a little bit as I pull my shoulders, draw my shoulders back. In seated, exactly the same. But what you could also do in seated, if you wanted, is place your hands on the side of the chair as a guide and just pull the shoulders back, ease them back. Bring those shoulder blades together to feel this lengthening across the top of the chest. Excellent. Releasing out from there. Let's all come into a seated position. So to come into our seated position from standing, feel the chair behind you. Lower with control into that chair. Have a little rest there if you need to. Active sit, and then lift and shift into the front third of the chair. So we're in the front third of our chair. Okay. So, firstly, we're going to take the hand, we're going to place it on the shoulder. Ease the elbow up and walk the fingers down the back of the shoulder blade, just to where you feel a lengthening start to happen here. All right. We're sitting tall, we're not bringing our neck across. And then from there, we've got two options. One, we can either place our hand down here, lift a little bit taller, and then ease across, so we get a lengthening of these muscles down here, or take the arm up into the air, hand comes down, and then we just reach taller. So we don't lean across on that one. The lean with the other one is just because we can't achieve that lengthening anymore, really, while we've got the hand on the shoulder. Ease the arm down and help it on the way down, and then change to the other side. So again, just taking it to where you feel it, and you might start to feel that lengthening there. That's fine. Wherever you feel it. And then either hand down, elbow lift and tip, or arm up, down and reach taller, and just lengthening down through this side of the body. Okay, from there, help that hand down. Let's come into our neck. So, the aim is ear down towards shoulders. Shoulders are relaxed and down, okay? And we bring it across, and we should just feel a lengthening of this muscle down here, down through the side of the neck and across the top of the shoulder a little bit. That's why we keep the shoulder down and just bring the head across. Coming back up and resetting in the middle, we take it the other way. Try and keep your chin the same sort of distance, so you're not tucking it in. So all it's done is tipped across to the side. Bring it back into the centre, and then let's give ourselves a hug to work at the back, the top of the back. So one hand on the shoulder, one hand under the arm. Give yourself a hug, opening up across the top of the back, releasing out, and then the other way. And release out. And then just from a finishing point of view, we've got a lot of wrist turns and stuff in this movement. We've got this movement where we're coming up here, we're turning, We've got this movement here and pulling back in with our wrists one at a time. A bit like we do with our ankles in the morning, a little bit of mobility for them, just to point them up and flex them down a couple of times each side. And you could even do it both at the same time or alternate it. It's a bit like a wave, isn't it? Okay, that is just done. That is our snack for our Monday afternoon. Our 4 p.m. sway and stretch. So go back and have a look at that, see how you get on with it. Practice those arm movements, and we'll start to add things in as we go through the week. I'm not here tomorrow afternoon, I'm afraid. I have to start in clinic on Tuesday and Thursday at 4 p.m. So I won't be able to do Tuesday and Thursday for you this week, but I will be back with you on Wednesday, and we'll be adding further into this as we go through the week. Have a wonderful evening, everybody. You've got Bex first thing in the morning, Kelsey with you at 12 tomorrow, and I'll be back with you on Wednesday. Bex will be with you at 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon as well. Keep crowbarring in those additional activities. Keep practicing those arm movements, those swaying arm movements. And as I say, we'll add into them as we go through the week. Take care, everybody. See you real soon. Bye.